So Nisha, once again, it's hat weather. Because fucking hell is it warm outside. I say wearing 2 layers.
How are you wearing 2 layers?
Because it might be warm, Nisha, but I want to look cool. I say looking like an absolute fucking knobhead. Let's go! There's one thing you can say about plants is that they're not exactly very mobile, and as such, you wouldn't think they pose much of a threat to anything that can just, like, walk away from where they are. The Puya chilensis, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is an apparent exception to this rule, given that it is supposedly able to hunt down and kill and eat sheep. I love the word sheep.
Sheep.
Yeah, because it's that famous word, like, sheep is a plural.
Not sheepses.
And if you say, look at the sheep, that can refer to 1 sheep or 10,000 sheep.
So, Karl, yeah, this plant is already sounding bizarre to start with, so where would you find it?
Well, the Puya chilensis is found in the most barren and inhospitable areas of the planet, such as the hillsides of the Andes and a small island in the UK. I like that. Just the farthest possible place you think of, like, oh yeah, a barren mountainside, and just the UK. Moving on, the Puya chilensis is known as being incredibly hardy and durable and can grow to be a formidable 10 feet tall, which is massive for a plant. Small for a tree, but big for a plant. It's like, do you remember as a kid, you'd like be walking down the road, and every now and again you'd always see that guy who had the really tall sunflower?
That was my granddad.
Oh, did he have the really tall sunflower? And they'd always peek over fences.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember my neighbour had one, and like my dad got really mad because it'd lean over because it was like droopy, and then all the seeds would fall out in our garden. So I remember once just looking out my window to see my dad hit it with a stick. He's leaning over, he's like, oh, fuck this, bang, hit it with a stick, and it's like, just exploded on top. There's this sad, dead sunflowers leaning over. It's, oh no.
Pretty sure I've seen recently an article about a woman complaining about her neighbour having a sunflower that was like looking over into a garden. It wasn't like leaning, it was just looking.
It's too big. I don't like this sunflower. I play too much Cuphead and now I'm scared of him.
It's watching me.
Oh man. Have you played Cuphead?
No, what is that?
Oh, you need to start a game. It's like a side-scrolling shoot, but you need to play it because the sunflower just dances like this. It's fucking great. Put a clip in of a dancing sunflower.
Yeah, this plant is found in Chile and oddly enough the UK as well.
Yes, specifically on a small island called Tresco, where it apparently flourishes in abundance, which is handy for the plant because Tresco just so happens to also be home to many of the plant's apparent favourite prey, sheep.
Sheep.
There's just something about sheep that's so fucking stupid. Imagine when you just look at a sheep and you can just say, you dumb motherfucker. Just look at it.
Aww.
It's like, look, they're so stupid. It's like, what barnyard animal do you think looks the most dumb? Because I flip between whether it's sheep or goats.
Goats, yeah, oh, I love goats.
I do like them, and I know that goats and sheep are quite intelligent, but when you look at them, because they have the weird eyes, they look so silly.
I always thought like pigs look pretty silly. Just the big
snouts.
Yeah,
but they're adorable. Like, they're all great. I'm not dunking on them for no reason. I do like these animals. I just think they look very stupid, objectively. Because like, especially when they're all fluffy. One of the things I like about sheep, though, is they are actually quite intelligent, like, contrary to their appearance, if you're me. And they're apparently able to recognise each other. And there have been experiments done where they show sheep pictures of other sheep, and they can recognise when the sheep is one of their friends.
Oh, really? Aww.
Yeah, and they like press the button for a treat. And something else apparently there as well, incredibly intelligent for a barnyard animal. And there's a famous story from the UK that I adore, where it was these sheep kept breaking out of their pen and just eating all the flowers in the local village. And the villagers are like, for fuck's sake, mate, you've got to sort this out.
Yeah.
So the farmer built an anti-sheep grate, which, if people aren't familiar with, is just like basically just holes in the road where sheep and other hoofed animals will not walk across it because they're scared of getting their feet stuck. And then about a week later, the villagers were like, the sheep are back. They're eating all our flowers again. What's going on? And the farmer's like, but I put up anti-sheep grating. It's literally in the name. It stops sheep. How are they getting across it? So they put a camera up, and what the sheep did, I shit you not, is they would walk up to the anti-sheep grating, lie down, and then roll across it.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh my God, sheep! What are you doing? That's amazing.
That's so good.
But in terms of like the barnyard animal that is surprisingly amazing at something, it has to go to the goat. Like when you see those videos of goats walking up basically completely vertical surfaces, and you just look at them and go, what? how do you do this? How did this happen, Mr. Goat? And they don't give a fuck. It's great.
I'm just thinking of that video where that goat's on the swing and it falls off.
Oh no, we'll put that clip in, and then after that put in ladder goat, because people want to see ladder goat.
Right, so what is it about this plant catching sheep?
Well, according to a very, very persistent rumour about Puya chilensis, again, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, is that it regularly stalks and hunts sheep, despite the unmistakable handicap of being a completely immobile plant. And if anyone out there is currently wondering, well, does the plant give off some very strong sheep-attracting aroma? The answer to which is no. The plant is largely inedible and takes upwards of 20 years to flower. At which point, you, our lovely large penis audience at home, probably thinking, well then, dickhead, how the fuck does this plant hunt, catch and kill these sheep? And the answer is because sheep are idiots.
Even though we were previously talking about how smart sheep are.
Yeah, sheep are remarkably intelligent, contrary to what people may think.
So what do you mean they're idiots?
Because, according to, again, these are rumours, which we'll address in a moment, sheep walk into the large knife-like spines of Puya chilensis and get stuck, at which point they will die from either hunger or exposure to the elements, fall to the ground, and their bodies will begin to decompose into the earth around the plant, which the plant will then use as a pseudo-fertiliser, in effect, eating the sheep.
Oh, God.
Something that has earned the Puya chilensis the rather unimaginative nickname of the sheep-eating plant.
Yes, so creative.
Which is so unimaginative, but so, at the same time, so good.
Yeah.
Because if I would have just said it's called the sheep-eating plant, you'd be like, why the fuck is it called the sheep-eating plant? I say, because sometimes sheep wander into it, die, and then get eaten. And it's one of those, it's so fucking stupid. And this is where we have to address the huge, big allegedly in the title of this piece, because whether or not the plant actually does this is somewhat up for debate, because while Puya chilensis is known to accidentally ensnare animals, because it's very large and spiky and animals get stuck in it, whether or not it does it intentionally or it's just a handy side effect of being so large isn't really known. And there are a couple of bits of misinformation about Puya chilensis which have helped spread the rumours of the sheep eating.
All right, so what do you mean by rumours?
Well, for example, there are reports that farmers will, when they encounter Puya chilensis, burn it on site. And the stated reason for this is because it poses such a large threat to their sheep and other barnyard animals, which isn't exactly the case because Puya chilensis just so happens to contain a highly flammable resin. And the reason that farmers cut it down or burn it on site is because if they do that, they can control the burn. And what they don't want is for the plant to accidentally catch on fire, and it being very flammable, that fire will then spread and burn down their farm and kill their sheep that way. But that kind of got lost in the sauce. So when people talk about this plant, oh yeah, did you know it's so dangerous, farmers have to cut it down on site? It's like, no, well, the reasons for that have kind of been lost.
But does this plant actually catch sheep?
Here's the thing. According to many, many sources, yes. But at the same time, according to other sources, no, never. So the truth is probably somewhere in the middle where, yes, on occasion, sheep might walk into this thing, die, and then become fertilizer for the plant. But the plant doesn't do it on purpose. It's just a happy accident for the plant. However, something the plant does a lot more than accidentally skewer sheep is catch birds who similarly get ensnared upon the plant, die either of hunger or exposure, fall to the ground, decompose into the ground, become fertilizer for the plant, which I think is more impressive because birds can fly.
Yeah, it's like they could just avoid it so easily.
Yeah, one of those dark thoughts, I guess, that I have is when you see a dead bird by the side of the road, initially you feel bad, then you find yourself thinking, if that bird flew 2 foot higher, this wouldn't have been a problem.
Oh, so many times I've almost hit birds.
And you just think, if you just flew 2 foot higher, this would not be an issue ever.
You've got all this sky. Use it.
You literally have almost infinite room above where the road is to avoid it, and you still fly in front of the road. It's you kind of don't feel bad, but then you feel bad for not feeling bad. It's oh no. And I just think that's more impressive, that Puya chilensis catches and kills birds, despite the fact it's completely immobile and just sits there.
It could be an instance where the bird's just wanting a rest, sees this massive 10-foot plant and thinks, I'll just have a rest on this plant and then Bye-bye bird.
Yep. Gets stuck in the spines. And it's just one of those things where, like, I couldn't not talk about sheep-eating plant on this channel, so I could use the phrase sheep-eating plant. But the more I researched it, the more I realised, like, yeah, sometimes sheep get caught and die, but that's not really eating them, it's just sheep falling over. Is it really hunting if the sheep just falls over next to it and dies? But it's like, oh God, I just wanted to talk about it because it's such a dumb thing to happen. But like I said, my research just uncovered, like, yeah, maybe this nickname of the sheep-eating plant is unearned, but it does catch birds with some degree of regularity, which to me is way more fucking impressive. Apparently not to the people writing the headlines that initially inspired me to research this thing. I'm not sure about you, Nisha, but the only thing that has been in my head the entire time we've been talking about Puya chilensis is that really crap film, Day of the Triffids. Are you familiar with it?
No, I've not seen that, no.
Okay, so Day of the Triffids, for Nisha and people at home, familiar with it, legendarily bad horror film about evil plants that take over the world. But it's one of those horror films where it's so funny to watch now because the main threat, and threats with big air quotes for you, Nisha, who are sat far away due to social distancing, because like they don't move. Like it's like I said, like they're walking plants, but they walk like one step. They go like 1 mile an hour, and like the people in the film are horrified of this new creature that has been birthed that is trying to destroy them. But it's like, just walk away. They are so not a threat, it's hilarious. It's like when you watch The Happening.
Yeah.
And you got Mark Wahlberg running away from the wind. It's like, this is not a threat, it's a fucking tree. Walk away. Isn't the threat of that film just trees?
Yeah, I think so. Like they give
like
off
trees are giving off like suicide gas.
Yeah, like a deadly toxin or something. I can't remember.
Which makes people commit suicide. I get it. You want to make an interesting concept for your horror movie. Plants aren't scary. Like, that concept has only ever been done good once, and that is Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
It's the only time they've ever made a plant scary. That and that one scene in Jumanji.
Feed me Seymour, feed me blood.
You open your trap, you sing and you say,
feed me, Carbon, feed me now!
I'm hoping that as I've been talking, like, some clips of Day of the Triffids is in. Because it's like, there's a scene where some people are in a car and they're terrified and hunkered down in this car. And you just see this lumbering asshole of a plant come around the corner, just waving around like a dickhead. It's like, oh no, he's going to get us. Like, it can barely fucking move.
To be honest, any film like that is pretty hilarious. Like the Blob, that they had the line, run, don't walk, from the Blob.
It's like, I love it when horror movies tell you how to avoid the main threat of the movie on the fucking poster. I think I've talked before, there's a film about a haunted elevator, and the tagline is just take the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, like that's entire threat just completely removed. And the thing is, I watch a lot of horror movies because I really like how creative the genre is, because people always try to come up with new concepts for what is scary, and I'd say about 80 to 90% of them could be solved by just walk away. How many horror films have you watched where if the person just stood up and left the area, they'd be fine?
Pretty much every film, I think. Because, like, there's something will happen in the house. Like, I don't know, Paranormal Activity or something like that. And they go and find the source, and it's like, just leave. Just leave. Yeah.
That's why I'll always contend the greatest scene in any horror movie is in Event Horizon, where it's Lawrence Fishburne and his crew arrive on this derelict ship, and shit has very clearly gone down because like just everything is in disarray. Lawrence Fishburne walks up to a console and goes, well, let's try and decipher what happened here. Presses play, and all you hear is just this unearthly wailing that sounds like hell itself has opened up. Lawrence Fishburne listens to it for about 10 seconds and goes, we're leaving. That's it. It's like the smartest character in any horror. It's like, we're done. I'm not paid enough to deal with this shit. We're done. I'm going home.
We're leaving.